Hey everyone, I'm AJ Stockwell. I'm a licensed CPA and the founder of Learn Bookkeeping Today, and I'm really excited about today's video because I'm going to be talking all about data security, and I'm going to be giving you a bunch of very specific actionable tips that you can implement right now to make yourself safer on the internet. So whether you're an accountant who needs to protect your client's data at all costs, or you're a business owner who wants to keep your data secure, or you're just an employee, or you're a person who is on the internet and wants to be protected and protect their passwords, their banking, etc., this video is for you. The first thing that I'm going to talk about is usernames and passwords and how we can protect ourselves there. One of the key points about usernames and passwords that a lot of people don't think about is the fact that a username is its own unique identifier. So when people are trying to hack into an account of yours, they might be trying the username that's your first name and your last name together. For example, mine might be AJ Stockwell. And this is a pretty weak username because if we're using a username that people can't easily guess, it gives us another layer of security on top of the password itself. So a lot of people only think of the password as being a unique identifier that hackers are going to be trying to guess, but actually the username is one as well. So I recommend, if possible, using either a username that's pretty random that people aren't going to be able to guess if they don't know you or they don't know it, or even using a different username for each site that you log into. And on that topic, email addresses are often used as a username, and they're also often guessed. So if someone knows your email address, they will try to use that as the username and try to break through your password. So what you can do for this is set up an email address. You can set up something free like a Gmail address and use that whenever you need to use an email address as a username. You can also use it as the email address that is contacted in case you lose your password, because that's another aspect of this security. If someone knows the email address that you've used to set up your accounts and they're able to get access to that email address, then they can pretty easily reset your password because they'll get that password reset email. So one of the ways to protect yourself is to use an email address that nobody else knows about. So those first 2 points, usernames and email addresses, are their own unique identifiers, and people don't have to be able to guess them easily if you're using something that isn't commonly used, such as your first and last name or your public email address that everyone knows about. Now that brings us to talking about passwords. So passwords should also always be unique. There should be a different password for every single different account that you use. And the way that you can accomplish this is by using a tool like 1Password or LastPass, which is a password manager. So these tools will actually help you generate a password. They'll generate a really long, kind of obnoxious password that's random numbers and letters and symbols, and that's a really strong password. So these services can generate the passwords for you and then save them, and then you'll have a unique password for every site that you log into. These password managers also store your usernames, so that's another great way to be able to use a unique username for each site without having to memorize all of them. So I would highly recommend using a password manager tool like 1Password or LastPass, and I'll link to those in the description below. The next really important thing to do when you are securing your online logins is to use two-factor authentication. I always recommend using two-factor authentication for any site that offers it. So I know I've always required my teams to use two-factor authentication because it's a really important aspect for protecting client data. Two-factor authentication is what it's called when a site has your phone number stored and they can text you a 6-digit code or something like that that you have to enter to really prove that it's you. So in this case, unless someone has your phone or they've been able to reroute your text messages to receive them themselves, then they won't be able to log into your account. This is a really important layer of security beyond the username and password, which anyone who has those can log into your accounts with. In addition to the text message codes, there are a few apps that you can use for two-factor authentication, such as Google Authenticator. So I would recommend looking into those different options and choosing the one that you think will work best for you. But I always recommend using two-factor authentication. So those are a few tips for securing your online accounts. And now I want to talk a little bit about email safety and email security. So phishing is probably at an all-time high right now. And phishing is where you receive an email that is looking like it's coming from someone else. So it might look like it's coming from a vendor or from a coworker or someone that you know, but it's actually from a hacker or a scammer, and they're trying to either hack some account of yours or get money from you. So it's very common, especially in the accounting world, to get these emails that look like they might be from vendors asking for payment. The tricky thing about phishing emails is that they can look like they're coming from someone that you know and trust. It's very common for an email to look like it's coming from the business owner to their accountant, asking them to wire money somewhere, and an email that stresses an urgency and says, I need you to send this wire out very quickly. And it looks like it comes from that person. It might even say the same email address, because it's possible to actually make the email address that an email is coming from look like someone else's email address. So when you get an email like that, it's very important to try to actually contact the person and verify that it was from them. The same thing goes with clicking on suspicious links or links from people that you don't know, or links that seem like they might be kind of funky. You don't want to click on these links because they could infect your computer. They could be trying to steal from you. They could look like they're a legitimate bank page or vendor payment page, but are actually looking to steal either credentials or even money. Another very common email scam is to get an email that looks like it's from your supervisor or your business owner, and it asks you to go and buy a bunch of gift cards and send the gift card numbers back through the email. They might say that it's for holiday gifts for vendors or something like that, but actually this person is just trying to get you to purchase a bunch of gift cards using the company's money, and then they're taking those gift cards to spend for themselves. So it's very important when you get strange requests like this, especially the gift card scam, to confirm with the person that it looks like it's from and verify that it's a legitimate request, because often it's not. Now, the best email scammers will actually go to your public profiles like a LinkedIn or a Facebook profile, and they'll look at your connections, and then they'll use those names in order to try and build credibility with you. They might say that so-and-so reached out to me, or so-and-so said that we should connect and gave me your information, when really that person that they're claiming referred you to them actually doesn't know who they are. And they're just trying to build rapport, build credibility to potentially steal from you. So that is a few pointers on email safety and looking out for phishing emails. The next topic I'd like to talk about is devices. This is more of a physical security aspect. So we want to always make sure that our computers and our laptops have passwords protecting them. So we want to require a password anytime the computer is open, and we want a computer to go to sleep and require a password if it hasn't been used, if it's idle for a while. So between cuts on this video, I'm actually coming back here to move my trackpad because my computer goes to sleep very fast if I'm not using it. And this is something that you want to require for all of your team members or suggest to others, because if we walk away from our computer and it's not locked, then it leaves it really susceptible to people stealing our information. So not only should it lock quickly, but you also want to get in the habit of closing or locking your screen when you walk away. So I use a Mac, and I know that the shortcut Control-Command-Q locks the screen, and then the password has to be entered. So I'm just really in the habit of hitting those 3 keys as I'm getting up, as I'm walking away. I never leave my computer open. Sometimes even when I'm in my home office and I'm just getting up to go get a drink, I'll lock my computer screen because it's that much of a habit. The other thing that you might consider for your devices is a privacy screen. So this is something that makes it really hard to see your screen. Your screen will look really dark from either side or from too high above or below the screen. So this is really helpful, for example, if you're working on an airplane, so that the person next to you can't see what you're working on if you're working on sensitive information. And you can get these privacy screens for laptops as well as phones or desktop monitors or tablets. Another tool for securing your data and securing your computer and your internet connection is a VPN or a virtual private network. Now, I won't get into all of the technical nuances on how a VPN works, mostly because I don't fully understand or know how they work, but basically they create a private tunnel connection that's secured from your computer to the destination or to the VPN server at least. And what this helps with is if you are on like a public Wi-Fi, especially if you're in like a coffee shop or an airport, people can be trying to intercept your data, but a VPN helps prevent them from doing so. So I have a VPN. Like I said, I require my team members to use VPNs if they're working in public places, especially coffee shops or airports. So password protecting your computer, locking it when it's unattended, potentially using a privacy screen, and using a VPN on public Wi-Fi networks are 4 things that I would suggest that you do to keep your computer and your network traffic secure. And then the last thing I want to talk about is security on the phone and with phone calls. So if someone is calling you directly, then you should always be wary of giving them any information that they ask for, because it's possible, just like with the email address, how I mentioned people can make an email look like it's coming from a different email address than it actually is. People are able to mask their phone numbers that they're calling from. So you might look at your screen and it says that you're getting a call from your bank, but it's actually someone trying to scam you out of information. So when you get a call from someone and they're asking for sensitive information, it's usually best to hang up and then call them back at a number that you know is valid and legitimate and inquire from there. Most banks and financial institutions won't be asking you for particularly sensitive information, especially if they're the ones that called you. And I don't think that banks would ever ask for your online username and password, those online credentials to log in, over the phone. So if anyone is asking you for that over the phone, you should be extremely wary. So that was a lot of information and a lot of tidbits packed into this pretty short video. So I'm going to give a few action steps that kind of summarize it, and these are the items that I think are probably the most important. So the first one is to use a password manager, such as 1Password or LastPass, and start using really strong, unique passwords. In addition to that, you should be using two-factor authentication wherever you can, especially places like banks or really sensitive online platforms. So the places that I would start, because I know most of us might have hundreds of different online accounts, the places that I would start are with your email address, because like I said, if your email address gets compromised, then people are able to get those password reset emails. And that email address is kind of the gateway to get to your other accounts. So if you don't have a strong password, a strong and unique password on your email address, and you don't have two-factor authentication set up for your email, that's the place that I would start. And then the next place would be your bank or financial institution accounts. So get those set up with strong, unique passwords and two-factor authentication. Pretty much any email provider or bank or financial institution at this point offers two-factor authentication. Then I would suggest accounts like your Apple account or Microsoft account or Google account, depending on what kind of devices you use, because those Apple accounts can be very sensitive and very important, and you don't want to have your Apple ID compromised. And then same thing with Microsoft or Google if you're in those software ecosystems. The next one would be your cell phone provider, because with two-factor authentication, people are trying to hack into cell phones and get cell phones activated with a number in order to get those two-factor authentication codes. So it's really important to keep your cell phone account safe. And from there, I would just look through your other accounts, think about your other accounts, prioritize them, and go through making sure that they have unique passwords and are set up with two-factor authentication. The final action step would be to share this video with a couple of people or a few people that you think would find it helpful. Like I said, I think everyone could benefit from doing a few of these things. Pretty much everyone is on online banking at this point, and we all need to make sure that we are protecting ourselves as much as we can. So I would suggest sharing this video with coworkers, friends and family, employees, etc. Anyone that you think would find it helpful. And last, if you liked this video, I would really appreciate it if you hit the like button below and give it that thumbs up. It helps more people hear this message and get this information so that they can protect themselves as well. And also, if you like this video, please consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. I really try to pack a lot of actionable information into my videos, so I hope that if you liked this video, then you'll check out the others and consider subscribing. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.